So as you're getting out into the world, let's just talk about global power shifts right now. As a result of the economic crisis and the global religious crisis leading to terrorism all over the world, the things that I'm reading right now, you're beginning to see calls for a global legal system. That they say we need a unified legal system for the world. And more push toward a single global governmental entity. We don't know what that is, but the debate is happening in earnest now. As we look at the global economic crisis, one of the things that's been great about the recent years, I guess, is because of the differences that there was opportunity to create leverage and create opportunity. But now people are saying, as they look at the current economic crisis, what are you hearing? What are you reading about from a global perspective, how people want this to respond to? Aren't they saying this is a global economic crisis? And that we need to take global action? That we need to work at having a global economic system that's ordered? And I think that at some point in time, people are going to be so tired and so frustrated and so distressed by the religious system that there's going to be a push even on the religious side. And all of this you see is, I think, right now, without the technologies before, without the interconnectivity of a global world, we couldn't even begin to fathom these kinds of discussions. But what's happened is that with the connectivity, the growth of the world, and the technologies going on, the problems that are emerging in the world now are global problems for the first time, not regional problems. And they begin to demand then global answers. And so I think, we'll probably come out of this economic crisis temporarily, but I think what's going to happen is that the pendulum is going to swing and there'll be a second economic crisis behind this that'll even be more devastating than this, in which they're not going to be just calling for a change in the U.S. government leadership, but a change in the way the world governs itself. So I think we're living in unprecedented times and very exciting times in my mind in terms of what we're going to be doing. How's that? Any thoughts? I have one more slide on there, but I'm not going to get into this one. I just make mention of this. Is what I've been trying to do with companies and organizations is develop a model where they can begin to understand the risks that they face and where the risks are going to be coming from, so that as they position themselves in their companies, they can be thinking about of those risks a little bit more thoroughly. Okay, I'm going to go past the next two here. That one, exactly. So, how is everybody feeling about what's going on in the world? And we're going to get down here to kind of a more personal level in terms of how I'm seeing people respond and feel about the situation that's going on in the world. How many are familiar with the term VUCA? Maybe if you were in the military, you heard that. VUCA was a term that was introduced by two majors in the U.S. Army with West Point, and shortly after 9/11, they were involved with West Point in ramping up the training for the officers and the commanders and platoon leaders in Iraq and Afghanistan. And Nate and Tony are wonderful followers of Christ, brilliant guys, both PhDs, and they were basically taken out of the officer, kind of the command track, to kind of go into this specialized track, because what they were finding was that everything that the government was doing, that the military leadership was doing in trying to approach the conflict in those countries wasn't working. In the previous decade, in the late 80s and early 90s, there were people at the Pentagon that did nothing but write notebooks on strategy for war. And so what they did was that they imagined various scenarios, and then they would game plan those things, and they would create riders for this, so that in case that sort of conflict broke out, they could go and pull out the right plan and go into attack. Well, nowadays, how many of those guys do you have? They have like 243, I think, at one point in time doing that. They don't have any left. Because they realized that they were living in trying to lead and achieve strategy in a world in which there wasn't a playbook. And then when they got there to Afghanistan, they found out that it wasn't the generals and people like that that were making decisions. It was a 24-year-old lieutenant on the back of a horse, scampering across the Afghanistan mountainside, negotiating with warlords, and making command decisions about what to do, that was actually directing the war. Because the guys back at CENTCOM or at the Pentagon didn't have the ability to understand what was going on and respond in real time to what was going on. And so Nate and Tony's challenge was, how do we develop leaders on the ground who can strategically lead and make decisions that will move us forward? Because we can't send them back to school for 6 months, because next week the enemy's already changed their tactics as they've observed us and thought about what they're doing. Now, here's the application to us. And I've kept up with Nate and Tony, and I've spoken to their group and interacted with them on this stuff a couple of times. I think it's similar in the ministry world, that we're beyond a time where a couple of gurus and super spiritual bright people to say, here's the playbook in terms of how we take the gospel to the world. Because the situations are so diverse, so demanding, so changing, that those decisions have to be made closer to the ground, closer to the grassroots, right in the field. And so the equivalent of a platoon leader would be like you and a handful of friends in a workplace, in a neighborhood, in an industry, thinking about what's going on and how do we advance the strategy of the kingdom in this area. And so we have to learn to think strategically in that. Nate and Tony then developed a little website called companycommand.com. And basically what had happened was that they set up an internet communication system where if a Black Hawk helicopter went down in Afghanistan, hours after that incident, the commander of that helicopter, if he survived, would write an after-action review saying, here's what happened, here's what the enemy did, here's the mistakes I made, here's what I should be watching for, here's what I will do the next time. And that after-action review instantly went to companycommand.com, and every platoon leader in the United States Army worldwide would log on to that, get that, and adjust their training immediately according to real-time things that were going on. Now, I think that we have the potential, maybe not in that precise way, but in a way, using the technologies that we have, the naturally network nature of the way you guys are already relating, to share lessons learned about walking with God, how to answer challenges and questions, what to do in certain kinds of situations, and be able to encourage one another. And I think this ability to communicate rapidly with one another, to give each other feedback and to share what's going on, is the way that we're going to grow. And that the way you're going to grow spiritually and become more effective spiritually is by this kind of peer-to-peer interaction about how do we really engage people and how do we really engage with the gospel. And it's not going to be from guys like me standing up here saying, here's what we should do. But it's what you in faith are learning and trusting God for, and you're sharing that with one another. And the reason it has to be that way, as Nate and Tony said, is because they say it's what we call a VUCA world. And I'd like to just unpack that for a second. The V in VUCA stands for volatility. We live in a time where there are wider and wider swings in everything that's going on, and greater and greater polarization. And these swings between one extreme and the other are happening faster than ever before. Think about the incredible polarization of the recent presidential election. That everything in the debate was pushed way to the extremes. You look at the extremes of the economic activities of the corporations, and then the other huge extreme of the way the government is responding to the crisis. And what happens, though, is that when you're going from extreme